coming up is a very special guest, a dear personality as far as Kerala Blockchain Academy is concerned. We have none other than Julian Gordon, the Vice President of Asia Pacific Region of Hyperledger and Linux Foundation Public Health. To brief our keynote speaker, Julian has started his career in London, working in technology within investment banking at HSBC, Lloyds Bank, Keenwood Benson, and more. He then spent the past 20 plus years in Asia Pacific business development and leadership roles within leading companies like HP, Sun, Microsystems, Jupyter Network, and Cisco. He's a strong advocate for the open source and truly transformational potential of blockchain. Welcome, Julian Gordon, to Blockhash Live 2021. I invite you to deliver the keynote address for the day.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. Can you see me? You can't see me. You can now see me. That's excellent. Well, yes. Thank you. That was a great presentation. Just loved the last one, Track Genesis, and all those presentations. It's great to see all this innovation and tech working out there in the real world. Thank you, KBA, for inviting me to present today. I think this is I don't know how many block hashes. This has been an annual, since the beginning of blockchain, I think. It seems an annual event, and I'm very happy to share today what we're doing at Hyperledger. So I'm going to start off by sharing some slides. And please do, we can make this interactive. If you want to ask questions as we go along, please put those into the chat. Can you see my presentation? I think you should be able to, right?
Yeah, very much so.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the kind introduction. I'm the VP for Asia Pacific for what is now the Hyperledger Foundation. We've become a foundation. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm going to talk today about what we at Hyperledger are doing. Kind of like we're in this near holiday season. What's happening over the last year and what we're seeing going forward, and then I'm going to look a bit at some of the tech, as I think everyone is interested in. I'll look a little bit about application of that technology, how it's being used in the real world today. Many applications across many industries. We really it was another year of people going into production, and then finally how you can get involved in Hyperledger in our foundation. So firstly, I think a lot of people here may be relatively new to this, to Hyperledger. I think many of you have been with Hyperledger since the beginning, but maybe I should just set the scene of who Hyperledger is. Well, firstly, we're now a foundation. We got rebranded this year as a Hyperledger Foundation. We are a Linux Foundation project, so we're a foundation within a foundation. That was really just to recognize the fact, and it came really from our members in the community. They wanted to see the fact that we're not just one project. We're a foundation of multiple different projects, multiple different communities, multiple different working groups. We are a true foundation. We're non-profit. We're neutral and collaborative. We'll be always open to anyone can join. We are neutral, vendor neutral. Anybody can come to us. The key to what we do, and actually what the Linux Foundation does, is really about creating vibrant communities, vibrant developer communities around technology. With the Linux Foundation is famous. This year was a big year for Linux. It was the 30-year anniversary of Linus starting at Linux, which is now the most successful software project period, runs 69% of the world's compute. But we're also more than that. We have many projects across networking, across blockchain, across security, really kind of the plumbing of the world. It's just growing and growing. And open source is now, people, if you're developing a new kind of core infrastructure, it's not why open source. It's, you have to say, why not open source? Because it is generally 80% of most projects now are open source with the libraries, the core code, and then obviously people create their own key code around what they're doing, proprietary code. And also we are industry standard. We are, as I think the Track Genesis was saying, we're around business for blockchain. So that is our focus, has been our focus. Even though some of our code can be used in public blockchain, we're predominantly more focused at the business side to that. But we have a wide remit. So that is the Hyperledger Foundation. I'm not going to go into that This is our momentum slide. Every quarter we release for our community, and we are about a community. We launched our momentum slide. We are growing. We had a brand new project this quarter, which I'm going to talk a little bit about, but we continue to grow despite the pandemic. We've kept together, we've kept growing together, we keep working together, developing, innovating globally. So I thank you all for that. These are just a few data points this year, really to show where we as Hyperledger are going, or really actually more indicative about where blockchain is well as a whole, blockchain, enterprise blockchain. So this is a survey done by Block Data, who are a survey company, I think out of Holland. Firstly, this says that 81 of the top 100 public companies are using blockchain. And I think actually it's probably more than that, but this is the 81 that they were able to record. And this is companies in terms of revenue. You can cut it. I have other ones which cut it by assets or whatever class you wanted to do it. But this one shows 81. And as you can see, out of the 30 different technologies that they identify, blockchain technologies, by far the most preferred DLT was Hyperledger Fabric, in this case, a Hyperledger with 26. And so you can see here, Hyperledger Fabric, these are all the companies using Hyperledger Fabric. And I think this is just the ones that are recorded. I think there are more. I know other companies that are using the tech in that 100. There are also Ethereum and Quorum here, and that will include Hyperledger Besu as well. So there'll be Hyperledger Tech also within this, right? So please do go look at that. Some very interesting use cases in those. Many of those are in production. That's just another indicative. And this is just the very top of the pyramid. We saw companies like Track Genesis, lots of other small and medium-sized companies out there innovating as well. This is very much of a level playing field, blockchain. So a lot of opportunity for people. This is another data point. This is from Forbes magazine. Forbes magazine, a big business magazine out of the US. They do an annual survey. This is their third one. They track, they choose, these are companies with a revenue of over $1 billion who they think are the most innovative new companies in this space. And they choose a 50. And of those 50, 60% this year were using Hyperledger Fabric or Hyperledger technologies. I think last year it was 50 and the year we hit 40, so it's growing. And that's despite that many of these companies are not using business blockchain. A lot of the companies in the Forbes 50 are more around the public space, but some great case studies. Many of these actually are our members. And I'm going to talk a little bit about like Maersk, what they're doing at TradeLens and others in a minute. So a lot of very exciting work, and also other areas. We're going to talk about Aries and Indie. I see that growing in that community, but a lot of activity there. Also, one thing I normally have a slide around. We are every single cloud provider from Amazon, IBM, every single one. They use, including all the Chinese ones, Huawei, use Hyperledger Fabric as their kind of de facto blockchain as a service. But I really would like to call out, seeing as this is in India right today, is talk about our certified service provider. These are people who, companies that we have certified through the use of training their employees, certifying their employees. And there's some great companies here in India, like Tech Mahindra, Wipro, Snapper, Future Tech, Mindtree. They're all Indian-based companies. And I picked out 3 others, Cripsy, IDS, and I know Chainyard, for instance. I know have a big development center in Kerala, and actually a lot of stuff in Kerala. Obviously, Accenture, IBM, many of these companies are now, and this is helping our end users work. Know that they have companies that are certified, and to do that, they have to go, have to pass certified exams, et cetera. So this is just an example, but I really wanted to call out some of the great work being done in India around our ecosystem. So now let's go to what I think everyone really wants to look at from a technical perspective is our projects. So we have now 18 projects. So that was announced, I think it was about 2 weeks ago. We have a new project called Bevel. This is our hosted, our diagram will show of our hosted projects, and we have kind of 2 kind of levels. So that graduated projects, they're at the point that they think they're production ready to be used, and of those most famously Fabric and Besu. I'm going to go a little bit more into those in a second. And then we have a bunch of different incubated projects. Another way of cutting those 18 projects up is into their different applications. So we have our distributed ledgers or our blockchain, our DLTs. We have 6 of those. Fabric, I think by far the most used globally, and now just growing and growing and growing. I can show figures in certain countries of the world where between 79% of blockchain technology is using Hyperledger Fabric. Hyperledger Besu as well is growing. That comes with our work with Ethereum. This is an Ethereum client, Java client, and that was contributed by Consensus. And I'm seeing a lot of activity around that, particularly in areas like central bank digital currencies, which I'm going to talk a little bit about, and things like DAOs. It is a client that can also connect to the Ethereum mainnet. So a lot of DeFi and other kind of interesting stuff is also happening with Besu. Burrow is an Ethereum an EVM. So actually that's been taken. It's like a Solidity engine that runs on top of Fabric and other Sawtooth. We have Sawtooth also very, very popular. We have a very famous bond exchange down in Singapore, and many other projects running on Sawtooth. Eroa, I'm going to talk a little bit about a CBDC working on, and then Indy Identity. I think you've got a workshop on that. I think you've got workshops this afternoon on both Indy and Fabric. I think that's right. I'd ask if anyone says otherwise, please tell me. But those are two, so really please do go and look at those. Are two very fast growing projects. Fabric, just as a reminder, was collaboratively built, originally contributed by IBM, but we have IBM, Oracle, Digital Asset, Walmart, I think people like Chainyard, Huawei. I can give you a long list of companies that are now contributing to that project. So the whole point, as we said, we are open source. It is a truly independent, neutral project. It is contributed by many people. It is not owned by one vendor. It's vendor neutral, and has a very vibrant community, and it's just growing and growing and growing. There are many services that are running off it. We have, as I said, those certified providers. We have trainings, and we have people like KBA, who also provide a lot of training around Fabric and these products as well. KBA were one of our blockchain Academy, are one of our original associate members, and have been very much in growing the community in India, and we thank them for that. We also have Hyperledger Besu, which I said, an Ethereum Java client. It leverages the open collaboration and knowledge in the Ethereum ecosystem. So it's around the Ethereum Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, and around a more kind of business blockchain version, and we're seeing a lot of activity there. So please do look at that. Other areas, other projects, the tools. Avalon is a project around, if you're interested in off-chain, obviously helping to accelerate and speed up processing. A lot of stuff in terms of like secure enclaves of a chip. Intel working a lot on that. So Avalon, please look at that. Cactus Interoperability, that was a project that was contributed by Accenture. Interoperability is as you can see, in the world of NFTs, in the world of business, we see as we grow, world of change, how is interoperability going to work? And there are many ways of doing that through APIs and many different forms of doing that. And that's where Project Cactus is. Caliper is a benchmarking tool. And Firefly, that's a multi-system architecture. Very interesting, actually. If you look at that, was contributed by Kaleido. Actually, there was just a big project in China, a big trade finance network that's using Firefly. That's another project definitely worth looking at, and that came out in 2021. So this is a new project, Project Bevel. This was a project was originally called the Blockchain Automation Framework, which was a Hyperledger lab project. And this is really an acceleration tool that helps develop, rapidly set up and deploy secure, scalable, and production-ready DLT networks. So it enables people to onboard. And as we know, with all technology, we're always working on abstraction. So this is just making it easier to deploy and set up DLTs, not just, it's got Fabric, it says Corda, Sawtooth, many different projects or DLTs that it can set up. This set up originally as a as a Hyperledger lab, and now it's just become a project. So I see this one growing. I work with a community here, very vibrant community. So they're always looking for more people to get involved. So that's Hyperledger Bayville, which just got into 2021 as a new project. Here, come on. There you are. Sorry. And I really want to quickly talk about the labs. So we have another 50 different projects. So those are our core projects which come through our technical steering committee, but we have many other projects which are in the Hyperledger labs. If you have a smaller project, a smaller contribution that you want to get involved, that's not probably ready for being a full project, please do that. And we have many active pull requests. And this is an easy way as a developer, if you want to get involved in the thing. And there's many here. We have things like the blockchain carbon. Somebody was talking about carbon credits. That is a project that's been working on there. We have Weaver and U, which also two interoperability projects. Weaver was contributed by IBM, for instance. And I crossed that blockchain automated framework because that has now become Bevel. So that is also our labs. So that's our tech, open to everybody. I was going to say the technical community is 100% open. It's never pay to play with Hyperledger. All that tech is available. Anyone can contribute it. It is driven by a diverse group of technical contributors. Anyone is welcome. It is a technical meritocracy. Those who run the projects are those that are elected in at the highest level, elected in by contributors and maintainers. So a very open, truly open source environment. I'm now going to quickly look at, I don't know, it's me being slow or my machine here. I'm going to quickly look at what people are doing with the tech. So this is just a quick survey that came from PwC that said blockchain technology is on track to deliver 1.6 trillion economy by 2030, and most businesses will be using this blockchain technology by 2025, which is not is a very short period of time, and it's going global. Truly global. So I'm just going to take three of those kind of areas. Just checking my watch as well. I'm going to take three of those kind of areas that we think are the biggest areas in terms of business sectors. So the first, payments and trade finance. We see a restructuring of the global financial systems. I've worked for many years developing banking systems, working particularly here in Asia Pacific. Trading, settlement, clearing, all kinds of different fintech kind of systems. We see that now being completely potential be really restructured through the T+0 fractionalization of assets, new assets being put on blockchain, and the ability to have that transparency and trade, that single source of truth between multiple different organizations. And there's this whole area around, cryptocurrency, obviously the kind of more Wild West, but stable coins and CBDCs. I kind of put it in those three buckets. We're seeing a lot of work now in central bank digital currencies, and predominantly that is on Hyperledger technology. 86% of central banks said they're exploring CBDCs, and many of them have some pilots, and some very interesting pilots out there. Just an example here, Bank of Cambodia, which is on Hyperledger Aroa. That is in the Bank of Cambodia. It was officially launched in 2020, and it links 11 domestic banks, and it's already recorded 1.4 million transactions and 500 million, but actually that was the first half. It's actually just grown and grown since then, and that's actually in production today. So that's a true digital central bank digital currency in place today. Other areas that have gone live: East Caribbean Central Bank. We had the Bank at Nigeria just launched this week, earlier this month or late last month. They launched in Nigeria, and that was on Fabric. And then we have the Bank of Thailand, along with Central Bank of UAE, along with HKMA and others. They've done a thing around Hyperledger Buzu. They've got this thing called Project Intian Lion Rock. I'm not going to go in details of CBDCs, but there's really kind of three areas of CBDCs. There is the retail, so that's like the bank in Cambodia. There is the wholesale, and that's maybe international settlement between banks at a wholesale level, between banks and between large corporates like treasury to treasury. And then there is the what we call the third level is like the bank. The one we talked about in Bezu, and they call that M-Bank. That's multiple central banks getting together and doing atomic swaps on currencies. And that is in trial stage. There was one done, this consortium here, kind of like in North Asia, and Singapore also did a similar one. So there is a lot of activity around that. And a lot of that is going to change and has the potential to change about the global financial system, making it more liquid and more accessible. And hopefully, like the Monetary Authority of Singapore talking about, a remittance fee should just be $1. So these kind of things that there is the capability to do that. So that's all around the payments. In terms of trade finance, I just got some figures here. These are 3 large networks, actually all using Hyperledger Fabric at GSVN here, actually headquartered out of Singapore. It's working with companies that represent 1 in 3 of the worldwide maritime shipping, and they're using Hyperledger, and they're using Oracle, Alibaba, and I think it's Microsoft on 3 different. So they have 3 different nodes. 3 of their nodes are on 3 different cloud providers. So that's a very interesting project. TradeLens has 300 organizations, 42 million containers, 2.2 billion events. These very, very large networks. We.Trade has onboarded 16 banks across 15 countries. I have cases in China with large trade finance networks, which have billions of dollars, $30 billion of the CCB network, so $30 billion worth of extended letter credits. So a lot of activity in this space. This is just a map. I'm not going to go through a certain amount of time today, but we see CBDCs, a lot of work, a lot that's done with the BIS, Bank of International Settlements, and others, all kinds of different models. And really, it's in the end, those using different technologies, emerging countries that have certain different technology requirements and more mature and maybe more legacy systems in other countries. So this is a very interesting area to watch, along with the stable coins and the whole kind of the way that assets are managed, digital assets are managed, and things like NFTs as well, that whole area. Very exciting. Another area that I think we mentioned today was around provenance, and I think that's what track journalists were talking about today around some of the things. And these are just some examples. And they see PwC by nearly $1 billion worth of boost to the global GDP through this benefit of having a single source of truth down the supply chain from consumer to retailer, down through to the ultimate producer. Circular is basically making sure that we are using the correct cobalt and other tools in the batteries or on our engines are verified as being not mined by irresponsible resources and can be tracked. Walmart, I think we all know the Walmart story, very, very successful. And the mango in 2.2 seconds rather than weeks. And Zulig Pharma, another example. This is just tracking, as we've seen a lot around pharmaceuticals. So make sure, I know there's been a lot of forgery in the pharmaceuticals, and I think there's no area more important for us to receive something that we know is true than pharmaceuticals. And there are many, many examples of this. I can give you hundreds of examples around this area. Now, the final area I'm going to look at is identity. So identity, you have, I think, a workshop later on Aries and Indy. So, and actually, I just saw there was a project that the Prime Minister Modi just announced with one of the universities there that's using Indy for tracking of identity for university degrees. So that was, I just saw it just half an hour ago. So actually, one of the great things of working for an open source project is that every day I wake up and I see people using this technology for new things in the media, elsewhere. People approach me. It's very, very exciting. So these are just some of the examples. So we have our credit unions, Bonafide, who have 20,000. They're using Hyperledger Indy. A lot of stuff around travel. Obviously, one of the things about this pandemic, we would like to get back on out there, traveling again, getting out there in the community and traveling globally. So we have like IATA Travel Pass runs on Indy, for instance, that's just showing COVID credentials. And we have a whole area around COVID credentials as well, and open source projects in that area as well around Linux Foundation Public Health. We have a secure health card, ID union. So the ability to keep your identity, be able to share something like a COVID certificate in a secure fashion and still preserving your privacy is what can be done around what we call self-sovereign identity. So please do look into that. KBA has materials around that. It is a very interesting area. And as Deloitte says, it says 29% in the Deloitte survey say digital identity will have most impact in financial transactions and in the way that we can work and provide that transparency around the world. And identity is key, obviously very key, and the ability to preserve as much of your identity and not share unnecessary information is key to that. So now the last 10 minutes, I'm going to talk about how you can get involved. We are an open source project. We're only as good as our community, and we have a very vibrant community out there. I'm very glad to say we have a very, some great individuals, great companies, great institutions like KBA who are involved. So this is I'm going to go through some of the ways that you can go. We have a community working groups. At the top of from a technical sector, we have our technical steering committee, which I mentioned earlier is voted in. They're voted in by our contributors, and you can be a contributor actually in many ways by translation. There's many ways you do contribute. It's just not about technology. So you can contribute in many ways. So they are voted in. You can see the technical steering. They have weekly meetings. There are 2 people, and I'm going to introduce you to them, who are on that steering committee. There's 15 people elected on that who are from India and represent our Indian chapter. I'm going to talk a little bit about that earlier, but that is our key core. That's what we call the heart and soul of the project. And there are many different working groups that hang off that identity working group, which and a lot of people in India are involved in. We have learning and materials. So if you want to know more about learning materials, diversity and civility, very key. Diversity is key to what we do and at the very heart of what we do as well. We believe very much in diversity. Diversity provides a really strong, vibrant community. So those are working groups. Some people may be more interested in within our foundation around different subject areas, special interest groups, and these are all open to everyone. You don't have to be a member; anyone can come and get involved. These are our special interest groups that we have today. They have bi-weekly. They do general presentations. Some of them actually have produced projects like the Hyperledger Climate Action Accounting one, which is all around carbon credits. They have created code. You can see that in our labs, and again, it's open source, so everyone get involved. You can help develop that. They're always looking for people to come and get involved. So that's the climate action and counting. The ones in red are ones that I'm working on to help, or the community looking to do more in this part of the world. A lot of these projects, one of the challenges is the time zone. A lot of this stuff happens in other parts of the world. The capital markets we're going to be working, which is that whole area I talked about in terms of CBDCs, in ways that we're going to redesign. I see, not we, the world is going to redesign how we maybe track and manage assets, trade, the whole back end of some of the financial systems out there. That'll be exciting. Trade finance, I said, very important. We're actually going to merge maybe the trade finance, the supply chain. We're seeing a lot of traction there, and the telecom. And this is all run by volunteers. You can go to our special interest group, join up, join a mailing list, get involved, ping them. I'm always available on LinkedIn if you want me to introduce you to somebody. But yeah, just get involved. Don't be apprehensive. Just get involved. Media entertainment, also another really interesting sector. That really came out of NFTs. We have a large number of projects, people using Hyperledger projects for NFTs. So that, and obviously NFTs, media entertainment, that's kind of the hot subject. NFTs are going to be used for multiple things, right? Multiple different kind of assets, securitization of assets. So please do look there as well. I pressed the wiki by mistake, so I'm going to go back there. They won't let me do that. There you are. So we're growing. So I'm now going to the next, and if you have any questions, I see some questions coming up. we have a chapter. So we are, as I said, we're a foundation of many things. We're also a foundation of chapters. And the first one was the Indian chapter. And now we have many, many around the world. We also have a technical working group in China. This is the Hyperledger India chapter. I heard somebody say, how do I get involved? How do I find out more? Well, come along to the chapter. There are weekly meetings that take place. We have a mailing list. We have a rocket chat. There's people out there to help and support people within India. We think it's important that people in their own time zone can get together, and they're also a bridge to the global. As I said, Arun, who is at Walmart, and Kamlesh, who's the CTO at Snapper Future Tech, are the chairs of Indian chapter. We set this up actually 3 years ago with Amol Kulkarni and others, right? And it's just grown and grown, and Arun and Kamlesh are now just growing and growing it even further. Lots of great activity. Here are just some of the highlights. They did a hackathon that we had at HyperHack, which is not just India. It was like, so we have a pandemic, what do? Let's go online. So they did an online hackathon. The first one was run by someone actually from Hong Kong, and they had a very successful HyperHack this year. Those are for those who want technology, who like hackathons. They kicked off a student. So if you're a student here, we do have a student society. Very much diversity. We have women in blockchain. We've had our kind of second season there, and we're looking more to help empower women within blockchain. So please reach out to people, get involved in that as well. We also have like hands-on boot camps, and we're going to start doing more of this. We had a great boot camp before the pandemic where we bring people together. They can work with contributors and maintainers of those projects and learn how actually to take a pull request, how to contribute to physical code. But as I said, you don't just have to contribute in that area. You can contribute in many ways. We have documentation, translation. They also responded to the MIT's National Blockchain Strategy. And also, if you could start here at Hyperledger, that's for text. If you look at that, that was actually put together. Even though it's a global asset for us, it was put together by the India team, Indian chapter, and I thank them very much. As I said, we have a student society. This is from Golganath, who's from St. Kitts, which also is in Kerala, right? So we see a lot of exciting stuff happening in Kerala. So really, how students get together. Maybe they want to do pitches, they want to peer program stuff, study a circle. So these are some of the things that we have a whole area. We even have a whole LinkedIn. They've both got LinkedIn pages, which you go have a look in. So please do get involved. I can never say enough. Everyone is welcome. And yeah, we have these weekly meetings. Please do come along to those. Really, that's my call to action. Get involved in the Indian chapter. Learn more. We have a wiki. We're open. We're a great community. Everyone is very approachable. Also, the last thing I want to say, as we are in Kerala, we have Malayalam. We have many languages in India. Malayalam, which is from Kerala, obviously. We have Tamil as well. We have many people who have volunteered and translated here all our documentation, our projects. We also have lots of meetups as well, physical meetups as well. So and obviously we have training certificate, but really I wanted to say just thank you. That was just a quick overview really of what Hyperledger Foundation is about, how you can get involved, and I'm very excited to be here, and now I'm open for any questions that anyone may have.
Hi Julian, I have a question here. What is the latest version we have for CHFA certification?
Sorry? Who's this?
CHFA.
Maybe you could say your name.
My name is Nitin Jain.
Hi.
Hi. Let me repeat my question. I would like to know what is the latest version for the CHFA admin certification?
What is it? How do you do that?
No, the latest version.
Latest version. Old. I don't know.
Yeah.
Very good question. I'll get back to you on that, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sure.
Very, very quick question. I know that it's changing and we're having a refresh, right? So I'm not sure what the latest version is, but that's a good question. Send me a note. and I'll get back to you on that one, right? You can also approach, definitely. I don't know. That's a very good question, because we're continuously updating. The challenge for training, as you know, is we have different versions, and as the technology grows, we have to make sure the education flows with it. But yeah, that's a great question. I'm not actually 100% sure at this present moment, but I know that we have recently an upgrade on that.
Julian,
thank you.
Retired IBM fellow C. Mohan.
Hey, Mohan.
I was wondering if you can make your slides available. That way, a lot of those links can be clicked rather than having to hand type. I generally make even my PowerPoints available. I don't even restrict it to just PDF.
This is 100% available. We are open source. I'll have to open source this completely, my slide deck as well, right?
Where would you post them though?
So Mohan, absolutely. These slides are available there in the public domain. I will share those maybe through KBA, or maybe I can just put them through the chat here, right? I'll put a PDF and put them out. And we purposely put those links in there, and that's to make it easy for people to then get access. You are completely correct. And I've seen your slides before. You do the same thing, which is great.
Appreciate it. Hi, Julian. That was a great talk. I got to know about more of the projects that I haven't been keeping tabs on. So wonderful.
All right. That's a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi, Julian. This is Sudarshan.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans about a mentorship program in 2022 year, similar to the 2021 year?
Yes, we'll have another mentorship program. Definitely, it was very successful last year. We got a lot of very innovative and great. So basically, we do it in two phases. We after mentees, those who are going to mentor, look after the mentors, and then we'll do that first. And people who want to have projects and others that they want mentors for, and then we'll go out with a whole mentor program. It is on our website. We have and maybe I'll put a slide in for that as well. There is a slide around how you can there's a whole calendar of activities to do that. But yes, we will, and everyone's very welcome to apply for that.
Is experienced professionals also can participate in that program as a mentee? Is it only for a college students?
No, it's for everybody. You don't have to be a student.
Thank you.
No, not at all, right? So obviously there are lots of students, but to be a mentee, you don't have to be, and a mentor, you don't have to be. So it's open to everybody.
Hi, Julian, it's Manjari. Hi, thank you for the wonderful talk. I came to know a lot of new things, and I would like to know as a beginner, how we could start joining the community, or as a beginner, where one could start, because there are a lot of things available, but where to start is the question.
Which is a very good question, right? And it really depends on your experience and what you want to do, right? But I think for you, right, there in India, right, you have a great asset in the Indian chapter, right? So I would attend those meetings on a Thursday, and Arun and Kamlesh or others will help you get involved. Very much so, right? Also, people at KBA, Adarash, there's many people here who are involved in the community as well, right? Reach out. But I think it really depends what you want to contribute, right? And you don't have to contribute. You can just come along and listen, right? Come along, listen, see what's happening, see whether you think there's something that you can contribute to, right? In terms of that. But yes, I think the Indian chapter would be a great. I don't know if Arun is here, right?
I think she's in Darmstadt, if I recall.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. So I'm located in Darmstadt, and it's in Germany. So because in Germany, I couldn't really find any groups or something who anybody working on Hyperledger or something. Most of what I heard was only Ethereum. So yeah, I was quite excited to join the Indian chapter. I'm registered there, but still I'm not able to get into what's going on. Yeah. So
so we do have in Europe. We also have we have an Italian chapter. We don't have a German chapter, but we do. I think we have a Berlin and others meetup group. Send me a note and I'll find someone to connect you.
Yes, sure. I will connect you via LinkedIn.
Chapter yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I will be really glad to.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Julian. Hi, Julian. Can you drop your LinkedIn in the chat if it's possible?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do that now.
Good morning, sir. I'm Rekha Mishra from India. And my question is, do you think CBDC becoming an alternative to cash?
That's the aim. Whether it'll be successful or whether it's needed, that's the debate, right? But yes, so and as I said, there are three types of digital currency. There's the wholesale, there's the MCBDC, and these are, if you look at the BIS website, they have a great explanation, great material around about what these are. But yes, it will be. I'm not sure an alternative is it's an alternative way of dealing with cash, right? So you should be able to spend online. At the moment, if you spend online, you have to do it with your credit card. You have to do it through a bank account. This is the way to use actual true cash over digitally. So that's what it is, right? That can obviously help in many ways, right? In terms of efficiency, sometimes traceability, and other ways that you may want to look at that money. But that's exactly what the aim of it is. Yes.
So my second question is: do you think DLT is sustainable?
The technology?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So sustainable as in
considering there's so much of systems required, and it generates so much of carbon. I mean, if you look at from environment point of view, what is your perspective for this technology?
So that's a very good question, right? So I think if you're what you're referring to here, I'm just putting my LinkedIn, by the way, is in the chat now. So yes, so the discussion around carbon footprint is around mining specifically, right? And Bitcoin and other public networks who, because of the consensus mechanism, had to create a means by which you could create consensus and trust, and they did that through proof of through many different ways, which has a high carbon footprint. Those public chains are working on many different ways to do that. The Ethereum network has Ethereum 2. There's a whole kind of tech around trying to reduce that. But in the area that we predominantly focus, which is around permissioned blockchain, there is no such mining. There is no such thing, right? It's permissioned, so the amount of carbon footprint is a lot less.
My third question is, what about blockchain regulation? See, we talk so much about using blockchain in government, but then policies and also policies at the state level, national level, international level. How does one move around all those hurdles, and how will one achieve? Is it feasible? I mean, this would take a lot of. I see a lot of difficulties in. Like in the first session we talked so much about using blockchain for government, but then there are so many hurdles in terms of the policies are not at the same layer at state level or national, and then of course international. How is one going to maneuver through all those hurdles?
Yeah, so it's a challenge everywhere, right? And if you just take out this tech, the world is siloed, right? We've always been trying to, since I've been doing technology, we're about silos in government, silos, trying to cross information, right? Which has always been challenging even without blockchain, right? With before, right? So it's all a benefit. So it really is about the benefit. If the benefit over is greater than the challenge we're going to have, it should happen, right? So I think it's about people doing proof of concepts, people then showing true value in terms of maybe from a citizen perspective, better transparency. In fact, I can see my land records. I can see, instead of doing this much paper to move a house, right, to sell a house, I can reduce it. These kind of efficiencies that can be brought about by blockchain certificates. They have a lot of, in Canada, a lot of stuff around British Columbia, looking at certificates for, let's say, if you have a certificate for fire and safety for your business, all these certificates are difficult to manage. We can do that in a blockchain way. You can really reduce the costs that the businesses and others and citizens have dealing with government, better government services. There's many, but yes, it's a journey. It is definitely a journey, and some places it's going to be easier because there's less legacy, but it's definitely a journey. And that we have joined our public sector special interest group. People are talking about this, but yes, I imagine I can't specifically speak to the India, but I see a lot of really good stuff happening in India, and I think it's going to be iteration, evolution of things. Maybe others have other opinions, but that's how I will see it.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, Julian. Hi, Julian. I had two specific questions. My first question was regarding working groups or ecosystem. Are there any specific working groups or ecosystem related which work on design, on DAOs, as well as on CBDCs? Is there any specifics on that? And my second complementary question is regarding what do we say about Hyperledger working on these areas, or if any? Yeah. And especially interoperability between different blockchain platforms like Hyperledger, Coda, right? How do you see that easing out between different systems of blockchain, in coming future?
Okay. So so in terms of DAOs, I see some DAOs using our technology. There's obviously a lot of challenges, regulatory challenges around DAOs, right? And a lot of complexity about DAOs. And actually another area that we're working on as a separate project is around cybersecurity, which has to underline everything that we do everywhere, right? That's another open source project, by the way, worth looking at, the Open Source Security Foundation, which is really growing very rapidly at the moment. So DAOs, and anything in that kind of area, particularly in the financial services, I think the capital markets, Vipin Bhattaran, who's actually based in New York, he runs the capital markets SIG. Everyone's welcome. As I said, I'm going to be doing some work. We want to do more in this part of the world. And that's also where CBDCs have been discussed. In fact, they used, they did do an open source. One of the lab projects is a CBDC, right? Using Hyperledger Bezu, developed by people in India. So there's a lot of discussion around that whole area of CBDCs and DAOs and digital assets. So I think capital markets, SIG will be a good place. Happy to connect you with that. We are looking to do a lot more in this time zone, starting actually probably in the next few weeks. So that's good timing. In terms of interoperability, yes, Cactus is the project. Look at Cactus. They're looking at the interoperability. But when we talk about interoperability, there's multiple layers. You're talking about APIs. You're talking atomic swaps. What are you looking at? It means many things to many people. But the project Cactus is that, and there's a couple of projects in the labs as well, right? And I think in the Indian chapter, if you want to approach the Indian chapter, I think they'll be open to do a lot of stuff, maybe bring people together to discuss that in the Indian context, if you want to do that, or in the Indian time zone. I think there would be, we're always looking for people, people to lead and pull those kind of groups together. But from a global perspective, that we have definitely interoperability working group and Cactus projects. And I know they've had discussions at that Indian chapter, and for things like DAOs and those, particularly around financial services. I think the capital markets SIG will be a very good place to go.
I'm very happy, Julian, that you patiently answered all the questions. And this was a very informative, information-loaded session. It was great having you at the Blockhash Live 2021.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, everybody, for listening and for those great questions. And thank you, KBA, again, for all your support.